controversial Oakington Immigration Detention Centre will officially close tomorrow. Over the last 10 years, some 40,000 people have been held there.
Most days, 400 men were held inside the high-wire fence. Stuart Radcliffe has been to meet one former detainee who was prepared to tell his story, but did not want to give us his real name.
This was Sam's emotional return to Oakington. He fled Sudan earlier this year, where he says he was tortured by the government. He says he hoped Britain would lead to a new start and a new life, but instead he spent 6 months here.
You know, it's because when I come here, I just want to feel safe, and I'm suffering. I'm coming to feel safe, and I find myself in another prison and detained. Dogs around us all the time, you know, the gate. It's really bad time I had it in my life inside here.
In the past, the security at this centre has been a huge worry for nearby villagers. Earlier this year, detainees stormed the gates following the death of Elliot Nyenzi. There were concerns he hadn't received appropriate medical assistance, but last month the coroner recorded his death was from natural causes. But Sam says the conditions at Oakington led to one of his friends trying to kill himself.
He tried to escape, yeah, and he just hung him. About 2 hours he been hung him, and the blood everywhere, and nobody knows what's happened to him now. Just when you get inside, you feel like your life is finished.
Oakington has regularly been criticised by pressure groups, in particular the length of time detainees have spent here.
I think it's horrendous, and we heard about people who are held in here for over a year. In fact, we've got people who've now contacted us who are in indefinite detention. Maybe their country hasn't given them a visa to return. They want to return, and they're moved around our prison system and detention centres indefinitely, which is, an outrage, I think, in our society.
But the UK Border Agency says the average length of stay for detainees at Oakington was just 30 days, but accepts on occasions that was longer. As for Sam, he was released on bail after Migrant Solidarity provided surety so they could rehome him. But he remains in limbo as his application for asylum is still being considered. Stuart Radcliffe, BBC Look East, Oakington.
And tomorrow we'll be taking an exclusive look around Oakington, and we'll find out about the controversial new town that's being planned for the site.
Now, we've all seen the ads, haven't we? Ambitious person wanted, ability to get on with people, and experience. It's what most employers are looking for.
Except, it seems, for one age group. All this week we've been looking at the issues facing older people. Tonight, Richard Daniel reports on the problems of finding work in middle age.
This road in Harlow is home to 3 men. All of them, for months, have struggled to find a new job. And the reason they say they're struggling to find work is because all of them are over 50.
You OK with tea, Peter?
Most weeks, Kevin Forbes holds a get-together over a cuppa. An IT director, he's 56. 5 years ago, he was made redundant. With him today, neighbours Peter Martin and Ken Holland. Peter's 53 and used to work in insurance. Ken is a telecoms IT specialist. He's 51 and has been out of work nearly 2 years. All support each other, and all believe age discrimination is preventing them from finding work.
I've applied for over 4,790 jobs, and it is soul-destroying. The real worrying thing for me is I can't see an end to this situation, and it has been a cloud over me personally for all this time. And to be quite honest, it does affect your family and people around you and the things that you do and what you can actually do.
I've applied for absolutely everything. You know, as you say, you think outside the box. What can I do? How can I bring some income in? I mean, I've applied for jobs at Tesco's, Sainsbury's, B&Q, you know, just to name some of the local retailers. But the same thing happens. They're all very sympathetic to our cause, but feel for whatever reason, whether you're tarnished with the brush of coming out of financial institutions, that you're not really wanted. And I think that is unfair. And companies have got to change.
It's such a waste of talent, and it's just not good for the country. Experience and life skills that you acquire over the years are invaluable, and if we lose that and don't employ people over 50 in significant numbers, it's to the serious detriment of the country.
Kevin's managed to get his MP to raise the issue in Parliament. The men are determined to continue their search for work. They believe there are thousands more like them. Richard Daniel, BBC Look East, Harlow.
And tomorrow we're going to look at more issues to do with living longer, but it's a bit different. We're throwing this slot open to you.
Here's Janine Machin with how you can get involved.
Well, I've just bought my newspaper and now I'm heading out. But this is no ordinary high street, it's no ordinary shopping centre. In fact, it's a retirement village in Northamptonshire, and this is where we're going to be on Friday to share your stories about living longer. Have you found it difficult to find a job in later years? Have you found yourself caring for a relative? Whatever your story, we want to hear about it. You can get in touch with Look East now, and we'll hear some of your stories on tomorrow's programme.
And don't forget, whether you call or email, please leave your phone number. BBC Local Radio is looking at the issues of ageing tomorrow as well, and the opportunities that are available to people. They're doing that all this week. You can find out more tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock on your local BBC radio station.
Now, we've had some awful weather today, haven't we? And a lot of people got very wet at Remembrance Day parades. But it could have been a lot worse.
John Cranston has been looking back 10 years to November 2000, when the autumn weather was some of the worst we'd seen for years.
Armistice Day 2000 in Peterborough. And yes, it was pouring down. But by the 11th of November that year, we'd sort of got used to it. It had all begun a fortnight before with rain and gales. The railways displayed their usual level of resilience. All the trains ground to a halt.
My plane leaves at 6 o'clock tonight from Gatwick, and so I'm standing here wondering how I'm going to get there.
Staff at Milton Keynes station were particularly sympathetic.
I do understand because I've had...
Customer care at its finest. Very quickly, though, the torrential rain brought floods.
People here at Coombs Ford near Stowmarket are used to the River Rat breaking its banks. This level of high water is exceptional.
The police warned us not to drive through floodwater, and one copper in Corby helpfully showed us what happens if you do.
It's certainly not an experience I'd wish to repeat, and obviously I'd advise other drivers to be very cautious out on the roads. Roads you think you know well can flood very quickly.
The poor people of the Colne Valley in Essex were actually flooded twice in the first 10 days of November that year.
That's the dining room, where we've taken all the furniture out that we can. Again, the water's just come through the floorboards. It's curling all the floorboards.
Spookily, the Met Office's regional forecasting centre in Norwich had closed down just a few weeks earlier. Could it have predicted this mayhem any better? Well, no more than it could have predicted the early arrival of baby Jamie Hardwick, or the fact that a fire engine would have to carry a midwife through the flooded village of Sybil Headingham to deliver him.
I was actually waiting by the front door. I saw the fire engine come up and I'm thinking, it's a fire around here. It was just nice to see her. Bit of a relief, actually. It was nice to be there for the birth of this one.
Everybody say ah. John Cranston, BBC Look East.
Of course, she's 10 now.
Yes, of course. Probably watching. Good evening.
She's probably very embarrassed.